So Richard, guys say to me all the time that I talk to, well, I'm going to fly to Kiev and I'm just going to hit the streets, take my chances on the streets. You've done that, and you've got some pretty crazy stats. How did that work for you? Can you share that?
Well, I gotten about 500 phone numbers on this last trip, and a lot of times I got the phone numbers and we were going to meet tomorrow, but never met. Tomorrow never came, which was very, very shocking to me.
Good evening, Richard.
Good evening, Joseph.
Deja vu, huh?
Yes, definitely.
So, I have the rare and special privilege of sitting with a young man here in Kiev, Ukraine. That's well. Let's start out. You're a mathematical genius.
Yes.
You're blushing a little. You are an acclaimed salsa dancer.
Yes.
And you got a pretty cool rags to riches or riches to rags story. You've lived a full life.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And the reason for this video is you've been looking for love in Ukraine since 2000 and what?
2003.
A few years. Wow. 14 years.
I came here on a tour, tour from America, and yeah, it was the most amazing thing I ever did. Yeah.
That was a company I didn't even know existed back then. What did you call it?
European Connections.
Yeah,
they were out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Right. So
I went to Moscow before here for 9 days, then Kiev, and it was the most amazing thing I ever did, and I should have did it many, many years before I did it.
You should have done what?
Take the tour instead of delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. I should have done it actually when communism collapsed in 1991 or 89, whenever. I should have done the tour a couple years after that, because that's when I was interested in doing it, but I ended up waiting about 11, 12 years after that, and I finally did it.
Well, that's an interesting point, kind of off topic, but this industry started out, this mail-order bride industry started out real and authentic after the Iron Curtain came down. And it's slowly become a corrupt, toxic industry.
Yes.
But it was genuine, real women that were looking for a good husband back then. Now it's become systemically toxic.
Totally. It's just like one big scam now.
Yeah, you're the first guy kind of in the trenches looking for love that I've talked to that sees that difference. Richard, let me back up for a moment here. I want to really personally thank you for agreeing to bare your soul and talk about your experiences here. You're not being paid for this.
No,
right?
no.
Richard is doing this just to help you guys out. You need to understand that, because he's
just to educate everybody, all the men that are in the same situation I used to be in,
Right, because you want guys to be successful.
Yeah, there is hope. There's hope out there.
And you can learn from Richard's costly, painful mistakes, hopefully, right?
Yes.
So thank you very much, and he has an amazing, heartbreak story which he's agreed to share in this video because it's a big lesson and just a lot of lessons. Thank you very much for being willing to share.
All right. Well, my story is I did meet the love of my life, and somebody 20 years ago told me, when you find true love, you'll know it. It was a doctor of mine. I was getting a physical done, and he told me that. And I said, what's this guy talking about? And then I actually met the love of my life. And this was back in 2004. I was in Moscow. It was like April or May of 2004. I was just walking around Moscow, beautiful Moscow, through a park. And I saw these two girls, and I just started talking to them. Back then, it was easier to talk to girls, so I just started talk to them for right then and there for about half an hour. I got both their email addresses, and one girl, the girl who I dream about every second of the day, her name is Alona Gorchkova, and she lived in the northeast part of Moscow. Now, at first, I started emailing her right after I met her, because she was in Moscow and I was in Kiev, and then I had to go back to America to work, but I was emailing her, and then I would call her every Sunday. And then I finally came back to Kiev and also to Moscow, and we met in Moscow, and the first time we actually went out, it was like the greatest thing. I mean, it was like there is love out there. She took me to some show in Moscow where they got these flying people that fly above you. It was totally something I never even seen, and you know, she treated me on this, and it was just amazing. And that was the first night I ever went out with her. And then right then and there, I actually hugged her, and then she hugged me, and it was just like lightning,
Sparks
you know,
were flying,
like lightning. And then, so then I stayed in Moscow for about a week. We hung out every day, did this, did that, and then I came back to Kiev. See, in Moscow, I needed a visa to go there, so it always was hard for me to stay there. In Kiev, you didn't, so I came back to Kiev. And then she would come to visit me like once a month for 3 days, and you know, everything was great, this and that. This went on for a year and a half, and then we talked about it, and I said, look, Alona, how about we get together, and so we agreed that I would move to Moscow. But the thing is, I told her, you know, there's a slight possibility I may have to go back to America to work. And so what happened was I went to Moscow, and Alona, you're probably wondering why I didn't marry her and try to take her to America. Well, the thing is, Alona was a caring girl, very caring girl, which a lot of the girls are, you know, different from other countries, but they kind of take care of their parents. So Alona's mother had cancer. She had to watch her every day, you know, after work, and during the day somebody would watch her mother. So, you know, she had to stay in Moscow. So, you know, that's why I decided, okay, I'll go to Moscow at that time. But, you know, I had to, a few weeks later, a month later, I had to leave to go to America. I ended up in Houston working in an engineering company because I just had to make money. And I told Alona, look, I'll be back when I save a decent amount of money. And so I'm still emailing her 3 times a week and calling her every Sunday. So this went on for about 9 months, and then one time I call her and her mother says, oh, she's not home on a Sunday night. This is the first time this ever happened. Then the next Sunday, same thing, I call, she's not there. Then the third Sunday, I call, and Alona finally picks up the phone. And then I said, Alona, how come you don't pick up the phone? How come you don't email me anymore? And she says, I did email you. I said, what are you talking about? You haven't emailed me in 3 weeks. So then I just turn on my computer, I check. She just sent me an email 5 minutes ago, and she says she got married. Now, as soon as she said that, as soon as I read the email, I said to myself, you know, I'm never going to recover from this. And believe it or not, to this day, that was May of 2007. To this day, I have not recovered from this, because when you recover, you don't think about her every second of the day. You don't think about the little children you were going to have. And you don't think about the little baby daughter you were going to have, where we were going to cook food, bacon and eggs for the mother and hug the mother and this and that. You know, you wouldn't be thinking about that. But I think about this all the time, and this is what's overtaken my life. So, but the fact of the matter is, this girl didn't even tell me. I've known her for 3 years. I thought I was a boyfriend. She didn't even tell me she was getting married. I find out by accident, kind of, and it was just amazing. You know, she was crazy about me, and I was crazy about her, and I just cannot believe how it ended up. I mean, it was just horrible. So, you know, the thing is, I still come to Ukraine. I don't go to Russia anymore because I'm not going to pay for a visa to go there. Ukraine is a better place. It's a lot cheaper, very cheap for foreigners, and there's girls everywhere, and I still am confident that there is a good-hearted girl out there. And a lot of times I do feel like I meet them and, you know, I'm this close. But in the past, when this happened, since I'm an American, I only could stay a few months, then I end up leaving. And when I go back to where I'm from, America, you kind of, things just fade away.
Fizzles out.
Fizzles out. And, you know, it hurts me probably more than the girl, because I don't want it to fizzle out. I go back to America because I have to work. Personally, I'd rather be in Ukraine. So then I come back, try to talk to these people again, and it fizzles out. So then you're starting all over. This has happened many times. And
So many times you've been in a genuine relationship.
well, many times I've met girls, and this could have been the one if I didn't have to leave. If I could have stayed, it would have been a different story. I would have been married to them, and we'd be living happily in Kiev. And for the best way, in my opinion, to meet girls, not walking the streets or walking through the malls, take up salsa dancing. The girls love salsa. They love bachata. You go to the salsa events here. There's 4 girls to 1 guy. If you know how to dance, you're like a king. So you guys, if you want to come here, take salsa lessons for 2 months before you come. Take bachata. And you come here, you'll be a star. You'll be amazed. You don't have this in America, believe me. I've been in salsa clubs in America, in Houston, New York. Totally different. You come here, it's like being in heaven at a salsa club. Okay.
That's a great tip. When I was interviewing a former employee of one of the big behemoth agencies, she said, well, you got to meet genuine girls. Where do you meet them? And she said, at church. So now we have church
Salsa
is one and salsa dancing is another. Richard, to sum up your heartbreak story with Alona in Moscow, what's the big takeaway lesson you got from that?